So the Wuthering Waves ecosystem has come under fire lately, or probably it's been under fire since it launched. And there's been a lot of suggestion and feedback on how to improve the system for the players. Ryuuku Sensei recently made a video suggesting essentially to put a pity system on the ecosystem to guarantee progression over time. Tectone, however, thinks this is a pretty bad idea, and he has some interesting points, and we want to take a look at them, so we're going to watch his reaction to Ryuuku Sensei's suggestion and see what we might be missing, because I, of course, agree with Ryuuku Sensei. I've made 2 videos suggesting pretty much the same thing. So if I'm wrong, I'd love to find out. Let's check it out.
Ryuuku, this 70-year-old yapper who lives in Japan, did you know that? Thinks Wuthering Waves is a problem. Now, I agree that Wuthering Waves has one specific problem where if they were to fix it, the game would be perfect. But I'm wondering if we're talking about the same thing. I think Echo XP and tuners are the only issue that Wuthering Waves has left.
Wuthering Waves.
Oh, sorry. Whimpering Waste comes out. Now they have a new game mode they need to fucking fix it desperately.
Sucks. Let me say that again. It sucks. I enjoy so much about this game. The story, the characters, the exploration, the combat. But when it comes to actually finding and leveling echoes to be used in that combat, it's an absolute nightmare.
It's bad.
In this video, I want to explain how I think Kuro could fix the experience scarcity issue and also the tuner mechanic. Now, before I start, I know I'm going to have people in the comments.
The problem is that a lot of Kuro bots defend this practice by saying, well, if you do it reasonably and smartly, there's actually not that big of an issue. But the thing is that we want this interface and how to play efficiently to be user-friendly and beginner-friendly. Otherwise, we're going to turn off more new players than Act 1 through 3 already did.
Saying things like, there isn't an experience scarcity issue, you just have echo management issues. I've got hundreds of tubes and many characters build up. See, there's no problem with the game. It's you. If you just level them in the steps and tune them once, you can get more than enough to have several defenses with no problem. It's not experience that's the problem, it's the tuners.
Yeah, what he said. Now, that being said, tuners need to be removed. They do. The tuners need to be removed, replaced with Echo XP, and substat should happen every 5 levels. That happens, everything's fixed, and we all know it.
Yeah, whatever. Shut the fuck up. Just because you personally haven't run into the issue doesn't mean it's not an issue. Especially when what determines whether you have enough experience or not is dependent solely on RNG. Case in point.
And that's the point there. And so you're kind of mixing 2 issues here. I do think there are problems with the tuner system, just in that it's cumbersome. Simply put, Zenless Zone Zero does this nearly perfectly. As far as just getting in the menu, checking your equipment, and getting back out and moving on to the next piece, Zenless Zone Zero gets that down to like 2 button presses. You press X twice, you realize it's garbage, you move on. In Wuthering Waves, there are way too many steps just to figure out that the Echo is garbage. It's probably the worst of all of the big 4 at that system, because it has so many different splash screens and confirmations and different things you need to do. And I'm like, why am I doing this just to find out it's HP defense? That's all I wanted to know. 2 buttons later, I should be out of here. So I would love to see them fix that. Does that mean that they remove tuners entirely? I don't really care how they fix it. But still, none of that has anything to do with the actual goal of getting good echoes, which is entirely based on RNG. Like, resources do not turn into good echoes. RNG turns into good echoes. So that's why you can't solve that problem with resources. You have to solve it by putting a pity system or a discrete cost on getting a good echo.
I have 2 accounts, both at Union level 80. How is it that on one account I have 800 tubes ready to go, but on the other account I have literally 0 and struggling? I'm doing everything exactly the same. Could it be that it's not the player that's the issue, maybe it's the game? So anyone that wants to come at me with that can just fuck right off. Now with that out of the way, how to fix echoes and tuners in Wuthering Waves. First up, echoes.
Yeah, so you just remove tuners, replace the tuners with Echo experience, and then they auto level at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I don't know if there's anything more that's going to be said here, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Specifically, the Echo experience scarcity issue. There's no way to say I think that Echo experience should be infinitely farmable. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And how I think they should...
Nah, it's bad. It has to be a gacha at the end of the day. It does.
Again, an infinite farm would just change the resources. You can't solve the problem by changing resources. Now, I know he has more to say about it, but that's not even a necessary component. You just need to put a price on good echoes. And that's where the pity system comes in. Being able to farm forever just presents the illusion that you have some control over getting a good echo. And that could cause a person to burn out because, again, no amount of farming is ever going to turn into a good echo until you just get good RNG.
For player retention, this would cause far too much burnout. You don't want this. Like this is one of those things where you think you want that, but you don't. because that's going to cause severe burnout because players will never be able to stop playing. And these games are meant to be played casually. And when you give players the option to play them hardcore, it's going to burn out really hard. The echoes should be infinitely farmable, and they are. You can at least get the main substat, but yeah, log in every day to get more experience. Disagree.
I agree about the burnout, but it's the infinitely farming the main set isn't any different than infinitely farming the echo experience. Either way, it's just a resource that's part of what you need to maybe get a good echo. So if you can do any of those things infinitely, you can burn out on it. The thing about burnout is that it's caused by a lack of progression for effort. Like it's literally the metaphor from being in a race car, you floor the gas and the wheels spin, but the car doesn't move forward. It's talking about putting in energy and then not seeing any meaningful progression or not moving forward. And that's what's so important in games like this, where it's entirely about progression and the incentive is for the player to progress their account, to gain power, that you are convincing them that the resources they're spending are actually moving them forward. And that's the difficulty with a 100% RNG system, is that there is no relation to the resources spent and your actual progression. Completely random, and so it starts to feel worthless to spend time on that system. And that's why pity systems throughout all gachas motivate players to actually engage with the system, because they're guaranteed progression. What they're hoping for from the RNG is getting a discount on the effort needed or the resources needed.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this again. You can disagree, and that's fine. But the reason why you're disagreeing is because you don't understand what Wuthering Waves has to do for the genre of game that it is. If you were to promote infinitely farmable Echo XP and Echoes in mass, you would never be able to stop playing. And that is going to cause player burnout. It's much better for the business model of Wuthering Waves and player retention to have daily check-ins for the success long-term of this game. And also for the mental sanity of yourself.
That's true, but it's not just the daily login. It's the fact that you get 40 gems for it. And that in those 5 minutes, you know that you've made meaningful progress. You've timed out how many times you're going to log in daily and when that's going to turn into the character for you. You're able to see that progression. In contrast, a lot of people will log in for the daily gems, but will not waste their time clearing their stamina or using their resin, especially if their characters are already leveled and all there's left to use it on is the gearing system. They feel like it's a waste of time, so they just let it go. So that's why it's so important to have a constant progression system if you want to keep people engaged with that system. That's what's going to motivate them to keep doing it.
I know it sucks because it would be nice, but that's a system that should belong in an MMO, not in a gacha game.
Go about that is by implementing these 5
And people will burn out very hard.
changes. We should be able to use useless
They should also take HP, defense, and flat attack. Get rid of all of them.
echoes as experience fodder,
Wouldn't removing tuners would promote infinite farming and cause burnout? No, I don't know why you think that would. No, obviously not.
which will take time, but at least it's free. The second one is the tacit suppression cost should be lowered from 60 to 30. If not, then at the very least, 2 times the drops should be available 3 times every day. These increased rewards also apply to the amount of tuners too, and if you think that's too much, just wait until the next section because it will all make sense. Also, tacit domains should only have 1 type
I think Echo recycling is fine for what it is.
of echo set, not 2. I think they should also put these tacit fields in lore-accurate regions as well, but that's not exactly necessary.
I agree as well.
The next thing we need is an echo experience only section at Yarn. We've got one for character experience and weapon experience. I think we should also have one for echo experience as well. A nice to have thing they could also implement is
I thought we already had that. I'm shocked that we don't.
to remove the non-set elemental damage buffs. If not this, then at the very least make it weighted so that you have a higher chance of getting an on-set elemental damage bonus. I'm tired of getting Spectro on the Glacio set and Glacio on the Spectro set. Now these changes would address some of the echo experience issues and also some of the RNG, but let's not forget there's also
It sucks because I understand why they do that. And the reason why they do that is because there are some niche uses that are very fun to experiment. But having to farm the right main stats on those really fucking suck because 99% of the time you're going to use the ice set with the ice bonus.
another aspect to Wuthering Waves echoes, tuners. Now, I've heard many people get annoyed and say that they should just remove tuners altogether, and quite frankly, I don't really agree. Like, I get
Why the fuck do you disagree with that?
Get it. I totally get it, but I'm going to argue that Kuro should keep them in the game. However, I think there should also be a massive overhaul about how tuners are used in-game. This is how they fix tuners. Right now, when you upgrade an Echo at levels 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25, new substats are unlocked after you tune them for 10 each. And if you get bad rolls on substat RNG, you can recycle these Echoes to get a portion of that experience and tuners back to reuse. However, what I think they should do is that at those respective levels, the substat type, but not the amount, should be visible. However, they are locked and do not affect any character that equips them until you tune them. This will help players decide when and where to effectively and efficiently use these tuners. But
it's pointless tedium. It is literally pointless tedium. There's absolutely no reason for that. There's none. It doesn't make anything better. It just makes things useless.
Here are the new mechanics I think
Just get rid of them.
you should implement. Right now, the cost to tune an Echo is 10, but for 5 times that amount, 50 tuners, they should allow you to re-roll the substat type before unlocking, which is where you get hit with some more RNG to determine how much attack percent you get, for example. So RNG plays a role in what...
It's at least better? No. Just remove tuners and replace the tuners with Echo experience. It is much easier.
other substat you get, and also
The issue with what Tectone has been describing so far is he just isn't addressing the RNG problem. Maybe he hasn't run into it, or maybe he just doesn't think it's a problem.
how much of that subset you get as well. But that's not all. For 20 times the amount, 200 tuners, I think they should allow you to specifically choose the substat you want. But just like before with the substat reroll, they should not allow you to choose the amount of that substat that you get. So you could have 12.6% crit damage or 21% crit damage, or anything in between. This allows for potential continuous improvement of echoes, for those sweaty players that really want to min-max. These changes also play into the lore of what a tuner is. A tuner is something that you use to tune an instrument to the correct sound you want, after all. Using tuners in this way allows you to be able to craft echoes to have the exact stats that you want to build your characters and also to be as strong as you want for a price. As I said, 200 tuners for just one stat, it's not an insignificant amount. And if you wanted to craft...
I mean, yeah, that's way easier. And yeah, that would be really good, but I don't think that's good for the long-term business model of Wuthering Waves. It would be cool, though, but they're just like, you're fucking high as fuck if you think they're going to put that in the game. Absolutely not.
I genuinely have no idea why he thinks it would hurt the game financially. The only financial attachment to the gearing system is being able to purchase stamina. And most whales don't even use stamina because they know it's pretty much like the original weapon banner from Genshin. It's pointless to put resources into it because it has nothing to do with whether you get what you want. So if you cannot buy what you want, why would you spend? So I don't know where the financial incentive is coming from. But if you could buy what you want, all of a sudden you have an incentive to spend. Especially if you know whatever the cost is. And definitely if you're, I think even a lot of free-to-play players, once their account gets to a certain place, they stop using their stamina because it doesn't guarantee that they're ever going to get anything. And again, the whole point is progression, getting your account more powerful. So if you take a system that doesn't guarantee anything and say, will people invest in that system as compared to a system that does guarantee something, I can't imagine any place where the system that doesn't guarantee anything gets more engagement of any sort. So I really don't understand why he's saying this, but it's cut up. He's not specific here. And let me know in the comments below if you have more context on what he meant, because it doesn't make any sense to me.
One singular perfect echo that could cost up to 1,000 tuners. And also, don't forget, you need 5 of these echoes for just one character. So a possible 5,000 tuners in total.
I really hate, once again, no hate towards Ryuuku. But I really think people are so ignorant when they say, oh, guys, watch me be the figurehead of gacha games. Watch me be the smart guy. Watch me be the guy who gets it. Hey, guys, you want to know how Wuthering Waves improves their game? Every character, you get them in one pull. Yep, that's how they fix their game. Yeah, when you want a perfect artifact, you just press a button, and then you just get it. That's right. And then when you get a new character in the game, they have sex with you. And you know what? When you go to buy a pack, you don't give money to Kuro, they give you the money.
So I feel like this is a straw man argument. The idea that if you take something that is a complete gamble and you add any sort of pity system to it, that it's now they're just giving you everything away. Like, that just seems like those are two extremes and there's no range in between it. I don't think it's that binary. And again, I think the weapon banner from Genshin Impact is the greatest proof of that. It was a complete gamble. It was a scam. They added a pretty terrible pity system to it. It certainly wasn't now you automatically get an R5 just for logging in. It was still ridiculously hard to even get a weapon because it took 3 pities, but at least it was some way of evaluating the cost and saying, okay, it's going to cost me a maximum of this much, and now I can decide whether that's in my budget, whether that fits in my plan, and I can begin to say this. I can begin to make this part of my plan on building my account, because that's the point. You're building your account based off of how you can manage your resources, money included. And when you have no idea what something costs, it's impossible to make a plan and manage your resources accordingly. So once you've added a cost through a pity system, now people can say, oh, okay, I can afford that. I can't imagine why it would be such a binary change that adding some sort of pity means now you're just giving everybody everything. They have no reason to even log in or play the game. Like, there seems like there's a huge range between those extremes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's why I'm a developer, guys. Yeah, that's why I'm the #1 developer, because I just get what these other people don't get. When approaching these critiques of these games, you need to understand what is viable for Kuro Games staying a business, for Kuro Games staying profitable, as well as what benefits the players. Too often, people just think this benefits the players. But you have to understand what are reasonable changes that the developers could make that will still keep them in business while appeasing the players, right? We get too much extremes for the player benefit side. And it's a cold reality. You need to balance business and player happiness, right? That is a huge give the players what they want. It just doesn't work. What would be your solution then, Techie? I'm interested. I have already said it literally 100 times. I don't know if you're watching this stream on mute. Just take out tuners. That's it. Replace the tuners that you get with more Echo EXP, right? When you level up an Echo to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, the substats just unlock. That's it. How would that?
Yeah, see, his solution is fine for making the game play more smoothly. It just doesn't seem to have anything to do with the RNG problem. So it really doesn't seems like he's not acknowledging it, or I don't know. Like, I don't see any connection between what he's suggesting and the feedback that he's rejecting. Like, they're not approaching the same problem, or they're not breaching the same issue.
Be in benefit for Kuro Games? Well, you take out a pointless system, and now instead of 2 systems, there's 1 system. It's not really that big of a detriment to ask, because with that new system in mind, players are going to be more incentivized to grind more echoes to roll, because now you only need 1 resource instead of 2. So like Hoyoverse, absolutely. But the big difference between this game and Hoyoverse, as well as every other gacha game that has this fucking system, is that this game has a system where you can infinitely farm echoes with the proper main stat. And that's how it separates itself from the competition. It's just a pointless currency that adds unnecessary tedium. But that would cause infinite farming. No, I am retarded. It would already have the infinite farming system of the main stats that the Echo system has in the game. However, you would not be able to farm Echo EXP infinitely. It would be the same domains, the same tacit fields that give you the Echo EXP and the tuners, but now it just gives you only Echo EXP. So no, it would not be infinite farming. It's a very simple change. We don't need, and once again, love Ryuuku. I love that he's trying here, but we want to.
So it's still the same thing. You know, farming the main stats isn't really going to help you get the right substat. Farming the main stat infinitely is just going to burn you out, because no matter how many times you get the right main stat, nothing is ever going to turn that into actual progress, which was getting the right substats. At least it's not going to guarantee it. And that's why it'll burn you out, or it'll just start to feel worthless after a while. I think very few people actually even farm echoes now, because it's mostly worthless at getting you what you actually need.
Give Kuro the most concise, agreed upon feedback as we possibly can. I understand what he's going for. It would be freaking epic if everybody got a free Fawawi whenever they played Wuthering Waves. But very simple. When you do a survey, just say remove tuners. That's it. That's all you should say. Remove tuners. Take tuners out of the game. We should all be on the same page there. Just get them out, right? So, for example, the 2 things we should all be writing on our surveys: remove tuners, and Whimpering Waste, make the mobs more aggro. That will fix the game. Oh, and make the on-use items in Whimpering Waste be more unique and give special combat effects. Those should be the 3 things we're writing right now. Those are the only thing that need to be addressed. And make more fishing? Absolutely.
Okay, now
Can we all agree with that? We got about 7.5 thousand people here right now. We're kind of all on the same page? Hell yeah. All right, that makes me very happy. Yeah, that should be what's going on surveys 100%. Oh, and wings need to exist in 1.0 regions. Thank you for pointing that out, chatter. Thank you.
Now, some of you may be thinking that with all these echoes, all this experience, all those changes to tuners giving players any degree of control over their echo rolls, that would break the game and remove any of the incentive for players to continue playing. And to those people I say, would it? Really? Would you quit? I don't think so. Having tuners be used this way also incentivizes people to continue playing, to use wave plates on tacit fields.
When a player feels like they've beaten the game, they stop playing. That's why a lot of these games don't have endgame bosses, and why they don't have endgame, because if players were to beat the endgame, they would quit the game.
I don't know. I think there are a lot of things that show you that you've beaten the game already. Like, even if you're a complete casual, the exploration will tell you you got 100%. If they were just trying to keep you in the game, they wouldn't tell you that, so you could just keep walking around forever looking for boxes. And as you might imagine, that would burn people out. So telling them, nah, you're done. When we release new content, you can start over, but that's it. You found everything. I definitely think that system's better than just keeping it from you, that you actually completed everything, or telling you how many holograms there are so you can see, 6 out of 6, and I've completed all the stages. The game's constantly telling you finished everything. So it's just because you know it's a live service gacha game that there's going to be a patch content update, and that's what keeps you coming back. I think those things keep you coming back far more than the fact that gear you probably don't need if you've beaten all that stuff already isn't perfect. I would 100% think it's the patch cycle that's making players continue to come back to the game. And the fact that they just log in every day to get gems is why they continue to log in. A lot of people don't use the stamina when they log in because it's useless. They know it's not really getting them anywhere, but the gems are how they're going to get the new characters in the new patch, and that's what's keeping them logging in. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that the game didn't tell you you won. It tells you won all the time.
And what you want to do for gacha game players, live service games, is you want to have that carrot on the stick, that thing they can infinitely chase. The problem is if you can chase it and get there, then you'll lose that feeling of being able to acquire something new when you beat the game and you'll drop it.
That doesn't always apply. Because obviously, if I still wasn't able to pull Gion, I would probably not be playing this game anymore. You don't leave everything on the stick. As a matter of fact, I don't think you should really leave anything on the stick permanently, because it just makes people burn out. That is the definition of it. If I've just been jumping and jumping and jumping and jumping and I can never reach the carrot, I'm going to burn out, right? That's what you really want to do with a live service game is make a piece of candy, put it down, the person picks it up, they enjoy it, and then you drop another piece. And that's how you keep them following you in a circle, in a loop, and you just keep dropping candy, and they keep, and most people will do that almost infinitely because it is an enjoyable cycle. People don't return to things that burn them out. They felt like they were a waste of time, and it makes them bitter. And that's the problem we're trying to solve with the gear system.
That's why players drop Minecraft after they beat the Ender Dragon.
To earn the echo experience, and also,
or for a lot of people, they stop playing after they get full diamond armor.
To earn these.
Yeah, Minecraft is not a live service gacha game. Unless you're trying to say that people were no longer interested in the future content because they had beaten the old content, but that would mean that the gacha model is just a horrible model in the first place. I'm not going to come back and fight the Inferno Rider because I already beat all of the 1.0 holograms, or I'm not going to be interested in Fallacy and in Hakate and all of those. Is that what he's trying to say? Because you beat those things, you lose interest in it, and you don't come back when they add new content?
Tuners to guarantee these stats. But even then, there are many games out there that rely on players to repeatedly play dungeons and other domains.
Yeah, nobody wants Wuthering Waves to be an MMO. Gacha MMOs fucking suck balls, right? So saying another game of another genre has this and it works, well, because it works, it's because it's in a different genre.
Hopes of getting.
Yeah, the problem with that is that you just related it to Minecraft, which the reason it didn't work in Minecraft was because it was a different genre, right? Because it's not a live service gacha game.
decent equipment for just one character. There are also games which allow you to max out multiple characters too. I mean, I've personally spent hundreds of hours leveling each character, each of the heroes on Dynasty Warriors, for example. And we already have 29 characters.
Let me ask you, Ryuuku, do you still play Dynasty Warriors every day? Or did you stop? And did you stop because you completed them all? I have a feeling that answer might be yes.
Exactly, because Dynasty Warriors is a single complete experience. It is not a live service gacha game that's going to release new content every 8 weeks. If Dynasty Warriors were still releasing new characters and new content and new, short of getting bored, he probably would still be doing the same thing that he was doing for all of the characters that they had previously released. But as far as I know, Dynasty Warriors is not a live service gacha game that's continuing to release new characters.
In the game right now, with many more to come in the future. With the systems I've laid out, there are still significant but reasonable levels of RNG with understandable mechanisms to give players something to work towards if they continue to play the game. These systems create enough incentive to continue playing without the absolute futility of pure RNG, which I remind you can and does lead to player burnout because it's happened in this game and also many other games that have these systems. I've already seen multiple people say that they're going to drop Wuthering Waves because of the RNG. So like I said, with the tuners, it should be 10 to tune, 50 to reroll the substat, and also 200 to...
If someone is saying that they're going to quit Wuthering Waves because of the RNG, they need to understand that they walked into a casino and said, I'm going to leave because I didn't win the jackpot. These are gambling games that are, at its core, RNG gambling fuckfest. And the genre is not for them. And referencing those people is just idiotic. Okay? And I never got the flowers that I deserved. I legit changed the game for all of these schmucks, and they still villainize me for nothing. Let me read this. Over 1,000 gone and 0 staff of homos. Tonight has shown a massive flaw in MiHoYo's weapon banner rates and system in general, and something needs to change. My ass hurts from being this hard.
Because they express that the weapon banner sucks, but are still happy because they don't like Tectone. I don't even like him, but I felt that pain. I don't even feel sorry for him. Serves him right for making dubious and bullshit tier list. MiHoYo is a legend. LMAO, I hate Tectone so much. The idea that the weapon banner was a scam was already prevalent, with new players always asking if it's worth it and veteran players saying, no, it's not, especially if you're free to play. But what happened with Tectone really amplified the sentiment. One fate point.
It's still BS. Oh yeah, it's shit, but it's a hell of a lot better than it used to be. Just remember, guys, it may be bad. The changes may not be what we wanted, but let's be real. It's better than nothing. I was exposing the game for how bad it could be, and to make sure that people wouldn't do the same mistakes that I made. Huge difference.
It was said that you would destroy this and not join them.
I get them to change the weapon banner. Nobody acknowledges it. Nobody admits it, because the fact that I was the only player that actually got significant change to happen in Genshin Impact drives them insane. And I never got my dues. I never got my flowers. So what I would like here is I would like a thank you from everyone in chat. You're welcome. You're welcome in advance for fixing your game.
So yes, when you play a gacha game, you are expecting to win the jackpot. It's kind of mandatory for the game to function. Because your goal in playing a gacha game isn't just to randomly win stuff. It's to build very specific teams. It's to build an account. That's why most accounts are exactly the same. And that's how there's a meta. Because people are making very specific choices about which jackpots to win. The RNG only comes in the case of if you're going to be able to win early. See, there's no early in a casino, but all of the RNG in the gacha system generally is about, did it come early? Because that means you're going to have extra resources and be able to build a slightly stronger account. For people who are not able to win the jackpot, they're just not going to be able to play. If there was no pity on your characters, your weapons, if there was never a pity on any of those banners, then everyone's accounts would be bricked. They'd all have like 3 supports and 4 of the same element DPS because they had no control over when they won, so they couldn't possibly build a successful account. There certainly wouldn't be a meta. It would just be completely random. That's not how any of these games work.
Like you're getting MTAS as your source of information for gacha games. Yeah.
To choose the substat. But these numbers can be flexible. I don't know where the balance should lie. This is just something I give as an example. So they could be higher, they could be lower, perhaps maybe 300 tuners for the substat selector. But even still, I don't think we should be afraid to implement systems like this just in the off chance that they might be too overpowered. That's the point of patches, to find the perfect balance. But if Kuro implements these changes I've laid out for both the Echoes and also the tuner systems, I think that could revolutionize the Artifact, Relic, Echo, whatever systems that they have in this game. I think people are too afraid of change. Don't fix what isn't broken, as the saying goes. But in my opinion, this system is broken, in the bad sense of the word. So I would really love it if Kuro implements something like this system that I've laid out.
I know I was pretty harsh on Ryuuku this video, and I really hate that I was. I caught myself, and I try to pull back a little bit, because I'm trying not to be my old self. And I am really trying to be a lot more friendly and open to other people's ideas. I really am. But there's a certain part of me that cares very deeply for Wuthering Waves. And that part is also, I also very much care about Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero, as well as Limbus Company. But very special part of me for Wuthering Waves. It's my favorite gacha game right now. I think Ryuuku came in this video with a really good direction in his heart, a really good place in his mind for what would make the game better. But it's very important to me that the community stays focused, and when we're able to give feedback, we're all on the same page. And this seemed like a video that was deterring from that. So I do want to say, Ryuuku, if you took any offense to what I said in this video, I apologize. I was a bit harsh. You know, I've been part of a game development team for now, the better side of 2 years now. So I understand the necessary evils that a lot of these games have and why these businesses do it. But once again, really try to think, what are these changes that the company can do that the players want that aren't going to set them back severely financially, right? And if you keep all those things in mind, it's a lot better. Well, he did.
So really, that's it, I guess. I didn't really see anything here that is telling me that the pity system could somehow damage the game. In fact, I feel even more confident now, because considering it more, I'm really thinking about how the gacha games work. It really is always about working on something specific. And you see a character get released, you can target that character. And that's part of the joy of the game, figuring out what you need to have the strongest account. A lot of the systems are dependent on that, and they know that. And that's why they put FOMO on it. And that's why they put it in your hand to be able to change that fate. Because they're like, yeah, if you spend the money, you can guarantee it. Your pressure is because you know you can make it work. There's a different conversation to be had about that, but it definitely is different than what you get when you walk into a casino. That's why I think there's so much potential in putting more controls in that system, because people will engage with it more. And the developers can start being more creative about the gear in the game in the first place. Right now, it's so simple and boring because it's such a stupid, broken system. But you can actually create more gear sets, more options than just one set for every person, where people can actually come up with creative builds because they have a mechanism to work on it. They can target certain things. So I think it's a great idea all around. So like I said, I'm going to check out St. Tontis' video. If you have any other videos that definitely have opposing opinions, I would love to check those out. So let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you next time.